Liverpool's ideal striker confirms he is available. The club's striker options are broad to say the least this summer, although the competition they face to get a deal across the line is fierce. Everyone wants the same thing, a consistent and potent goal threat who can make a difference. As you would expect, Liverpool have been assessing all the different players who might be available, and because of the high demand, most of them are set to cost around £100 million, while the Reds might be happy sanctioning such an amount if the player meets all of the criteria, because the budget for this summer's endeavours is set to be pretty significant. The market opportunities that are substantially cheaper will need to have been exhausted first. One potential move that would make a difference to the Reds' front line is Jonathan David, who is perhaps the most in demand of all the strikers available, for one very specific reason. David confirms Lille exit plans. His contract is up.
The Canadian confirmed on social media on Wednesday afternoon that he will be leaving Lille on a free transfer. This now makes him possibly the hottest asset on the market, because his departure from Lille without a transfer fee will therefore allow clubs to focus their finances on a lucrative wage offer. Only just about to enter the prime of his career, at 25 years old, David is a player who can offer a lot. He has valuable experience to lean on. Now he has 5 seasons under his belt at the top level, and he will have the best part of a decade left to make a difference to whoever he joins. Furthermore, he's a goal machine, having scored 77 goals across his last 3 campaigns, and his game has been developing at a rate of knots, improving his number of assists year on year. As such, he is a complete player who would be perfect replacement for Darwin Núñez. Not only would he offer more consistency than the Uruguayan, but he would also give Arne Slot a different dynamic. In his front line, Diogo Jota might well stay at Liverpool this summer, and he would be your traditional target man, whereas David's off-the-ball work would make him more of a belated Roberto Firmino replacement. Even if the Canadian wasn't out of contract this summer, it would make sense for Liverpool to approach him, but now that he's available on a free transfer, he would save us around 100 million straight away. That kind of deal almost seems too good to be true, but it is a genuine reality. Napoli are scouring for him, and the last update we had on his future included interest from Arsenal, but Liverpool have an exciting project available, and so it's plausible that the Reds could oust their rivals in the hunt. Florian Wirtz to Liverpool, everything we know so far. Liverpool are interested in Florian Wirtz. Here's everything we know about the interest so far. The Reds are admirers of the German playmaker at Bayer Leverkusen, and Wirtz's name is one that has been on the club's radar for a few years now, and if the opportunity arrives, they'll strike. It was previously understood that Wirtz was likely to join Bayern Munich in an attempt to remain in the Bundesliga, although Manchester City were lingering as his main alternative option. However, almost out of nowhere, Liverpool's reignited interest was reported just a couple of days ago, and we now have an uncertain situation, with no club yet to convince Wirtz of a move quite yet. The differing reports on the player can make it really difficult to know exactly what the situation is with Liverpool's interest in. So here's all you need to know about the club's freshest transfer link. A breakdown of Liverpool and Wirtz Anfield. Watch understands that Liverpool have been aware of the player since 2019, when he was playing in Cologne's under-17 team. Scouts had been sent to assess him, and the Reds attempted to sign him before he joined Bayer Leverkusen, although a move abroad was not welcomed at the time. For a 16-year-old who was in the midst of his studies and about to turn professional, it was an understandable decision, especially given he grew up just 41 kilometers away from Leverkusen. Around 2 years later, in January 2021, Anfield Watch understands that Liverpool went back in for him, although a 70 million asking price was set, and Liverpool could only spend 50 million. Once again, a deal wasn't reached, and it was entirely understandable as to why. At the time, he was in the middle of his breakout professional season, becoming a regular in the team, and spending such a significant amount of money on a teenager was too much of a risk for the club to sanction. But now we are 4 years on from that fateful approach, and the player is an entirely different prospect.
The 22-year-old is 6 seasons deep into his professional career, and he has lit up German football. Last season, he delivered his standout campaign to date, scoring 18 goals and delivering 19 assists. As Leverkusen went on to win the Bundesliga without losing a game, ending Bayern Munich's dominance of the competition, and the side was 1 game away from an unbeaten treble. And while the Germans' team has been less fortunate this season, his numbers have remained consistent, delivering 16 goals and 14 assists. As such, it will now cost Liverpool over 125 metres in order to secure his services, which would require the Reds to break their record transfer fee by a monumental 40 million. It is an unthinkable signing, yet we are now living in a world where it's a possibility. Wirtz and his family travelled to England this week, and he reportedly spoke with officials at both Liverpool and Manchester City to get a feeling of what a potential move to either club might be like. Furthermore, he spoke in an interview just prior to the trip about how tempted he was to move abroad, defiantly claiming that he would be comfortable joining any team and fitting in well. As such, it seems as though Liverpool have just as much chance as anyone. Else, although a decision is hardly going to be reached anytime soon, with the transfer window still yet to open for a few weeks, and with several months of potential negotiations likely, Liverpool closing in on signing one of the fastest players in the world, is closing in on a transfer to Liverpool. Arne Slot's team has been brilliant this season, winning the Premier League, but there are still areas where they can improve. One of those areas is adding an injection of speed into the team. Liverpool have fast players, Dominic Szoboszlai and Luis Diaz among them, but there is no player in the team who is really fast. Mohamed Salah used to be that player, but his speed has waned over the years, while the rest of his qualities have only become better. In order to evolve, it's becoming increasingly obvious that Slot wants to add faster players to his squad, and Liverpool's first arrival through the door could be exactly that. So much has been said about Jeremy Frimpong already. What is clear is that Liverpool are closing in on a deal to bring him to the club. David Ornstein in The Athletic has claimed that Liverpool are advancing in talks to sign the Dutch international. The report claims that Leverkusen are aware of the deal and expect the deal to go over the line quite quickly after their